In this video, I'm going to talk to you about different stage mechanics that theaters use when they put on their shows. And these are all kinds of elements that you will experience at some point or another if you are a stage actor. Don't go away, I will be right back. Hey there, my name is Doug Fahl, and this is Augmented Actor, where you come to augment your acting career with tips and tactics and tech. Right? If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe, and I hope that you will accept my invitation. But if not, it's totally fine, I understand. In fact, let's just get rid of this right now. So, what are some of the mechanics that stage theaters employ? Let's talk about raked stages. A raked stage is a slanted platform on the stage that tilts toward the audience. This is usually done because the designer of the set wants the floor to be seen by the audience. For instance, I once did a production of chess, and there was a giant chessboard painted on the stage, so they raked the stage so that the audience could clearly see the chessboard. Now, when you're working on a raked stage, you just have to be very careful because it is tilted, especially if you're doing any dancing, that you don't fall or tumble down or slip. Also, if you walk straight across a raked stage, one foot is going to be lower than the other, so it's going to feel a little lopsided. And if you're walking downstage, you're going to pick up some momentum, and it's going to be harder to walk upstage. Practice any movements or dance steps that you're doing on a raked stage so that you don't injure yourself. And now let's talk about a revolving stage. This is when there is a revolving platform built into the floor of the stage that turns, usually electronically, and it allows actors to stand on it and be turned like a turntable, or you can bring set pieces on. Sometimes these revolves can be very elaborate. They can be 2 or 3 concentric circles inside of each other so that different actors can be spinning in different directions at the same time, or set pieces can be moving on while an actor is kind of walking in place. A couple Broadway shows that are currently on Broadway, Hamilton and Come From Away, both use elaborate revolving sets like this. Sometimes the revolve can even be a revolve inside of a revolve. So there's something that's twirling while the revolve is moving around. It's pretty crazy when that kind of stuff happens, but it does happen. So when you're an actor on these stages, you got to be careful when you're stepping on and off of a revolve. It's going to feel weird and give you a little bit of a movement and a momentum. And when you're stepping off, you're suddenly going to feel like you're stepping off of an escalator. So you got to kind of practice those kind of things. Also, you got to be aware that big heavy pieces of scenery might be moving on, or other actors might be on a revolve, so you have to know your marks and hit them properly so that you don't smash into people coming on or off. Also, revolves tend to break down every once in a while, and so you're going to have to learn how to adjust the show suddenly if the revolve breaks down so that you can finish the show. Now, there is another kind of revolve, and that is the revolving set. Revolving sets are basically set pieces that are usually planted in the stage, and they have a pole going up the middle, and they rotate on that. Now, you can have like a box rotating that has different scenic elements on each side, and that kind of creates movement in your set pieces. Now, those set pieces can be a lot of fun to play with. In smaller theaters, they're generally not mechanical. Actors and crew will be pulling those set pieces around themselves, but they can be motorized as well. Now, when you're moving a set piece like this, you will have various spikes that you need to rotate the set piece to fit onto, and after time, when people have been walking on these set pieces, they tend to create little divots in the ground, so you'll kind of feel it lock into place as it goes there. And then these kind of set pieces will often have manual foot locks, so basically you have to flip those down and lock it into place, especially if people are walking onto the set. I just want to take a moment to say that my Patreon patrons are the coolest people in the world, and if you want to be a cool person like them, I invite you over to patreon.com. Become a patron, get to see behind the scenes videos, blooper reels, outtakes, early release videos, and a whole bunch more. I need more patrons so I can do more fun things, so come and join me. It's real cheap. Next thing are elevated stage floors. Now, these are often seen in very large regional theaters, but basically some theaters have sections of the stage that can be lowered or lifted with an elevator system. And generally they will move these pieces to build a set with lots of levels. I saw a production of Singin' in the Rain at one of these theaters where they just lowered the platform a little bit to build a splash zone for the person to do the Singing in the Rain number in and splash all the water. These elevators can often be used during a show to bring set pieces up from down below, or to create little trap doors. They can build a fake floor on top of a lowered elevator and then build trapdoors into that set. They're usually used to build levels onto a set, and then the set is built around the elevator, and then they never move during the show. But sometimes they do move. The rail system. Now, this is very common in proscenium arch theaters, and if you go backstage at a theater, you will see a row of ropes and pulleys with weights on them. So any piece of set that is a flat or a curtain or something like that, a cyclorama, that is lowered in or raised out, or even if it isn't lowered in or raised out, like the blacks and the wings, you will see that they are on poles. They're attached to poles, and those poles are counterweighted on the pulley system. And then the crew members use markings on the ropes to determine how far to bring in a set piece. And oftentimes when you're working around a rail system, 3 or 4 different rails are going to be operated at the same time to bring out 4 different elements, bring in a couple at the same time. So during those set changes, it's very important for you as an actor to get out of the way, not be backstage if you don't have to be, and to be very aware of what's coming in from up above so that it doesn't hit you on the head. When you're working in a theater, especially in rehearsals, if you see that something is about to hit somebody or hit a set piece and break it, you should yell, stop, hold, whatever the keyword the theater gives you. It is a safety issue, and that is a time when an actor can speak up and should speak up. So remember that. Anytime you're in an unsafe situation in any of these elements, you should always say hold if you feel like your safety or somebody else's safety is at risk. Next is the spotlight. Spotlights are lights that follow the actors on stage. You've seen them, you know what they are. Spotlights are super bright when they shine on your face. So when you are acting with the spotlight, you want to make sure that you practice having that spotlight in your face before you hit an audience, because when one hits you, your eyes need to adjust, and it's quite jarring. You can't see anybody outside of your circle of influence there, your little spotlight. So just be aware of that. There are also other kinds of lighting. A lot of modern theaters have programmable lighting systems that will make lighting patterns, and you'll be able to shift the lighting design just remotely without having to climb up on ladders and change the lights. So those are great for creating visual effects. There's not much you need to know being an actor. Just know that often those theaters have a lot of flexibility on how they create the look of a show. So if a show isn't quite, you don't think a show is looking the way you want it to, wait until after tech, because they can do a lot of magic with those. The next mechanical thing you might see in some shows is a fly system. So fly systems are often prepared and overseen by a specific person that's hired to do any kind of aerial choreography. They have a crew that is trained on how to balance these fly systems. Basically, these are systems where an actor is in a harness of some sort, and there's a clip on the harness that will clip the actor so that they can fly. If you've ever watched Peter Pan live, you will know what a fly system is. Billy Elliot is another show that uses a fly system to show dance sequences. If you are not the person that is doing the flying, you should never play on these things, and you should never get in the line of sight between the person who is controlling the mechanism and the actor that is being flown. Often in those points of the show, they will request that nobody be backstage that doesn't need to be there. Now, the final piece of mechanical thing that you might need to work on as an actor is the track system. And this is often very common in professional proscenium arch stages. And basically, this is where a thin little track lies across the length of the stage, and big pieces of set will hook into that tracking system, and a winch or a pulley will pull them electronically on stage, usually with an actor or actors on that platform. So this is how you can make a smooth transition, having a set piece kind of glide right on magically. And the only thing you need to really worry about that is to just stay out of the crew's way when they're operating the winches. They need to have a clear line of sight. There will usually be warning lights backstage. And if you are not supposed to be on the moving platform, never step on it, because that's a very big no-no. Don't play on those things. And if you're on stage, you got to be aware that those tracks are coming in so that you don't get run over by a huge piece of equipment. Hey, I got another video on different types of stages and layouts. If you want to watch that video, it should be on your screen. If it's not, it's down in the YouTube description below. So those are the basic. There are all sorts of really imaginative theater designers out there that will create other kinds of mechanisms. I've seen some shows where a huge piece of set will springboard into the audience through a mechanical apparatus, and I've seen shows with trapdoors and trap ceilings, showers that fall from the sky, snow that falls from the sky. There's also shows where they drive actual cars on stage, shows with pyrotechnics and flames and strobe lights and things like that. So when you work in theater, expect that you might sometimes run into new things that have new mechanics and are surprising to you. In those situations, you just want to make sure you pay attention to the crew and the director and the stage manager and follow their directions so that you don't get hurt or nobody else gets hurt as well. And have fun, because those kind of elements really bring something exciting to theater, and they're always fun to play with. That's all I gotta say. Watch some of these videos. Have a good day. Bye.